Hey readers, welcome back to Reading Realm. Today is going to be a little bit of a shorter video just because I recently started classes again last week, and again, I have two kittens now, so I've been giving them a lot of my time, and also Cosmos because he's been a little needy because of the kittens. So I did not have quite as much time to read as I would have liked, but I do have a fun book. This is by an author I've reviewed, sort of like the sibling book to this one in the past. This is I Could Chew on This, which is Poems by Dogs. The author is Francesco Marculiano, I think might be how you pronounce it. But this is definitely a really fun book. I was reading it earlier and sharing some of the poems with my parents because some of them were pretty relatable to Cosmos or just really funny in general. So I definitely really enjoyed this book, and same with the cat version that I reviewed previously. They are very, very funny. I think it's really interesting because you get kind of the spectrum of dog personalities in different poems, which definitely makes it really interesting. It isn't like all just from one perspective. And there are also fun pictures with a lot of them as well. So this is, again, much more of a comedy book, but also really, really good as well. And if you have a dog or if you are close with a dog in your life, it's very, very relatable for a lot of the poems. There's one of them called Little One, which is very much how Cosmos reacts when he meets a dog bigger than him, because he's pretty small. He's not the smallest, but he is only about 21 pounds, so if he meets things like black labs or golden retrievers or anything like that, he's definitely kind of like, whoa. I'll be louder than you to prove I can be scary too, and that's kind of what this poem is about. There are just so many really, really good poems, and they're broken down into the sections are inside, outside, by your side, or heavy thinking, which I think are really funny because the difference between some of them are definitely, the heavy thinking ones are really, really fun. There's one, there's one called The Naming, and it's the dog wanting a really strong, fierce, like, powerful name, and the twist at the end is, but when you ask your 3-year-old daughter, why don't you name the new puppy? I'm so screwed that I could cry. Which I think is funny. The picture for it is also really cute. But yeah, I think there's something in here probably for every dog, and every dog owner that could relate to one. There's one about the dog having to be in the cone, and the end of that one says, I can't knot my stitches, but all these psychological scars will never heal. And before that, it's going over all the stuff that the cone is affecting them with. And yeah, they're just sort of various dogs having existential crises in this part. And yeah, there's definitely just a lot of comedy in these. This is a really cute picture as well. But yeah, I think that this book is really enjoyable. It is really short, so you can read through it in a day, or you can read one poem every day, and each one takes only like 20-30 seconds to read. But also I feel like I don't think it's necessarily designed for kids. And at least one of the poems is basically the twist at the end is the dog is like, I've had to watch you two for the last 6 years, so I think I know something about making love. That's probably not a poem to read a small child unless you want to have to explain stuff that maybe they're not old enough to have to be explained about. But overall, I think a lot of them are really funny, and that a younger audience could also find them really funny, especially if they have a dog or enjoy dogs. But it is definitely interesting because there's one where, and I think I'm thinking about this because I just reviewed The Space Child's Mother Goose, which is basically parodies of previous poems. And there's one that has a very different like poem structure and rhythm in here compared to some of the others, which kind of makes me wonder if it is maybe also a parody of a pre-existing poem, because that style doesn't really appear anywhere else in here, and it is sort of a longer one. I have no idea, but I think this one is definitely fun. I love it. I love the cat one as well. If you haven't checked out my review of that one, it's called I Could Pee on This, and this one is I Could Chew on This. So, as someone who has one dog, and now I guess in my family 4 cats, because I've got the 2 kittens, and then at my parents' house we have an 18-year-old cat and a 10 or 11-year-old cat. I really enjoyed both. But this one is definitely, I think, some of the existential ones are interesting because they kind of, there's one that feels a little bit out of place compared to all the comedy of everything else, because there's one that addresses dogfighting, which feels like such a serious topic compared to everything else. So I found that really interesting, and it basically says, like, whenever humans make one dog fight another, you're getting one step closer to handing Earth over to the roaches or something like that. So it's like a really serious issue kind of wrapped up in comedy, which I think was kind of interesting. But yes, I highly recommend this book. And I also definitely think that if you have a dog, you'll probably have multiple of these where you're like, yep, that is exactly my dog. So, with that being said, like I said, this was going to be a shorter video today, but let me know what you're reading, and if you're on track with your reading goals, or if there's a specific book that you're planning to read or looking forward to reading. Let me know what you thought if you have read this, or if you are planning to read this, because it is very fun, or if you've read the other one by this author, the cat version. Let me know, and hopefully I will see you in the next one, and keep reading. Bye!